Welcome to this week's Freight Tech Friday. This week I want to show you about a tool that we leverage to give us market insights, SONAR by FreightWaves. Now, SONAR is a robust freight intelligence platform that gives you access to hundreds of unique data sources coming from electronic tenders, TMS systems, ELDs, telematics, fuel purchasing systems, and just a gob of other areas, right? And while that sounds nice on the surface, it comes down to what can you do with the data. So today I'm just going to introduce you to the platform, not necessarily to some of the custom work that we've done with their APIs, but more so what is this platform? So every week as a company, we do a market update for our clients. And we'll use this to share details about what may be taking place, leveraging this information to then provide insight into how our customers' business could be impacted, and maybe even how they should react to what's taking place in the market. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in and I'm going to walk you through some of the ways that we actually access this data within SONAR. So if you see below, this is our 3D market view that we use, okay? We actually use this view to tell us a few different things about what's taking place. So there's two indices that are really being shown here. And so you'll see the Outbound Tender Volume Index, and this is the weekly change of what's happening in terms of volumes that are being sent out. And then the second piece is the tender market share. And so it's the monthly change of what percentage of the tenders that are going out across the country, who is taking up the majority of that freight. So it's a couple of different things that we really look at. And what you can see is, in our world, the blue is saying that there is a more change, there's a greater change, that there's more volume coming out of a specific market here. And then the red change means that there has been a reduction in the volume that's coming out. Now, these are a couple of interesting things because when you dig into the data, you can actually learn and understand, and I could dig into this. I'm not going to do this right now, but a lot of different data sets about specific markets. So if I wanted to learn more about the Little Rock market, I could actually jump in here and get a much greater feel for what's taking place. We use this just to give our customers a good overview of what's happening. As you'll see in this one, I have the weather data is actually being overlaid on the chart as well. But it's a really nice visual to really give a good glimpse of what may be happening according to what we've been seeing over the last few weeks. Now, a big one that we talk a lot about as we talk about our market update is we talk about the Outbound Tender Volume Index. Now, this is an interesting data set for us. Again, it's all about the volume of shipments that are coming out at a time. And as you can see here, there's a lot of data to be seen. We're looking at the blue line here is the 2020 volume. Orange is 2018, green is 2019. And you can see where we've been this year relative to the data that we've been seeing for years past. And so we have seen finally some stabilization. As you can see, we've been in this steady V type of a recovery that we've been going through in the freight world. Many of you have felt that and experienced it. But we have started seeing some stabilization within the last few weeks or so. But outbound tender volume is a hot topic that we always talk about, we always look at, and we pair that up with the outbound tender reject index. So as you know, we have this data that's talking about the volume, right? The volume of shipments that are coming. What this speaks to is how many of those shipments are being rejected when they're offered to a carrier or a 3PL or whoever it may be. And so you can see how rejections have just been a steady climb for us, sitting right now at about 26% in terms of rejection. So that means for every shipment that is being tendered right now, 26% of them are being rejected when they're being tendered. And so that's a large number. If you look back here, you can see in 2018, which was a very volatile market, we were seeing some significant volume back in the high 20s, even in the 30s earlier in that year, and that was a very volatile time for the freight industry. We also dig into different segments. So this is something that SONAR's been working on for a little while. You can see that we have data around those same indices, but for equipment types. So if you look here, you can see refrigeration equipment and see what the outbound tender reject has looked like. And we're actually overlaying truck stops, spot rate per mile for refrigeration. And so you can see the correlation between these data sets and how it leads into what's going to happen in the spot market. Very, very interesting thing. You'll see a very similar story here when we look at van data and how that looks. The next thing I want to show you, which is pretty interesting for us, is the volatile markets. We use this to help our clients understand what may be coming. And so if you look at this outbound reject volatility, it's showing that there's a strong increase in rejections in specific markets. Now you can imagine how many different ways that this can be helpful, but this is something that we will communicate to our clients. We don't do it every week, but usually every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll include this in our market update to kind of help them understand what might be taking place. The last two things I want to show you here, which are just nice pieces to have that we don't talk a ton about. We've got what we call these digital momentum signals in SONAR. What these signals actually do is they are sharing, they're expressing if there's some sort of shared interest in a company or a subject based off of metadata. Okay, so companies with increasing signal values, that could mean, they've got heightened exposure due to, an event that's led to some sort of increase or a declining stock price, or whether it's, grain feed, it's increasing for the cost of grain feed. And so you're going to see it. So you see copper and you see these different things. These are some nice little signals that can just give you a little bit more detail about what may be taking place in a market. And the last thing that we like for ourselves is just to be able to have transportation news at our fingertips. We use this in SONAR as well, just to be able to kind of see and know what's going on today, what's out there, to see what we might want to include and speak to for our market update. So SONAR is just one of those tools that we use to really provide good market insight to our customers. If you're interested and you'd say, hey, I'd like to learn a little bit more about how that might be able to pair up with what I'm doing, shoot us a message over at info@kingsgatelogistics.com and we'd be glad to help you out.